We will now convene into open session at 5:41. Okay, the board will report action taken during closed session regarding the dismissal of the following classified employees. By a vote of 4-0, trustees voted to release classified employee number 1772, effective at the end of the workday on October 11th, 2024. But number 2, by the vote of 4-0, trustees voted to release probationary classified employee number 2203, effective at the end of the workday on September 13th, 2024. Number 3, by a vote of 4-0, trustees voted to release probationary classified employee number 2415, effective at the end of the workday on September 13th, 2024. And do we have the kids for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, so do you want to announce them?
We'll now turn the time over to our students who are doing the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Miss Flores, turn on that mic. Oh, okay. That's okay.
My name is Annalise. Thank you for inviting us to lead your meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. We are students from Oakdale Heights. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance helps form a connection to our country, the United States of America. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we honor the flag and everything it represents. We are the country with a diverse population, saying the Pledge of Allegiance instills a sense of pride of all people. My name is Viola. We say the Pledge of Allegiance to start our day at school, to begin official meetings or ceremonies, and we honor the flag at special events like ball games. We would like to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Blue. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, girls, and thank you, Miss Flores. We have some recognitions for you. So girls, if you could please come on up.
Okay, I am too. She's like, I'm kind of short.
And thank you, teachers and parents, for bringing these students here tonight. You are welcome to stay, but you can also be excused at this time if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now go ahead into the comment session. Comments and announcements by board members. Jessica Anthony,
I have nothing today.
Sandra Barnes,
So we all went to the new track opening last couple weeks back at Central Wyandotte area. And it was fun and the track is beautiful. And we're so very proud right now. So thank you to the
Phil
city
LeGrone.
and
I'm sorry.
thank you to the city and to the district for putting that together. It's great.
Thank you. Phil LeGrone,
I have no comments.
I would like to say the same. It's a great track. It's really nice. They said that they would pay us to run the board members. They wanted to see the board members run. Actually want to see Janet Goodson running heels around the track. But the kids did a great job. The kids went out there and they ran that lap, and I mean, they were fast. And it was hot too. So it was a great day, and the band played really nice, and it was just a nice event. So thank you again for the city as well as our district. We will now have comments and announcements by administration. Dr. Spencer Holtum.
Yes, thank you very much. Just wanted to say a couple things. First of all, to my board, thank you very much for all that you do for me in this district. Happy Bosses Day. We appreciate you. Number two, I'd like to thank the City Council and the City of Oroville for voting on and approving a letter of support for Measure E for the district. So appreciate that. And then we had two great ribbon cuttings. One was at the studios at Central for our new track, and the other was for the ribbon cutting for our intervention program, working with the Southside Community Center and their program. And that was last week. We've had about 5 or 6 days of that being open, and they had students on day one, and today they had 6 students that are being served in that program, and they're doing a lot of great things up there, and looking forward to utilizing that for the future. So thank you.
Andrew James.
Good evening. The only comments I had for tonight, other than, congratulations on the 2 ribbon cuttings. I think those are both going to be long-term important pieces of Oroville City Elementary School District and Oroville as a community. This school year started off, and it's the people that you don't hear about that are doing their job well. And that was our IT department, John Damone, Chris Murphy, and Garrett Hartman do an excellent job. And this particular start of the school year seemed to have a lot less pickups. It seemed quiet, and why that is because they're doing their job, they're being diligent, and it's a success for them. So I wanted to call them out because it was a good start of the school year for them, and nobody had any, mystery problems. They were really doing a good job. So I just want to thank them for their hard work.
Thank you. Troy Cox.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and happy Bosses Day. And it was a great ribbon cutting ceremony at Central. That was definitely a neat thing. That track will be great for the community. A couple things going on in curriculum and instruction. We have ongoing PLC work. We have completed our first round of our inspect benchmarks, and we're using our data. Our sites are compiling that data and designing interventions that we will be next Wednesday. All of our grade levels will be meeting district-wide, which means that all 4th grade teachers will be meeting with 4th grade, all 5th grade, 3rd all the way through 8th, and they'll be able to discuss their data, what they found in their data as far as work that they need to do compared to the state standards. And then they're also going to discuss what interventions they're using forward. Tonight we have iReady coming through. We're utilizing iReady for 3 through 8 this year as our intervention tool. There's a tool on there called the Teacher Toolbox, which allows teachers to design interventions specifically based on the standards that we are getting the feedback from on the benchmark. So that part definitely is moving in action. So the iReady tonight, as well as the reclassification update to the EL master plan. So thank you.
Thank you. Holly Gutierrez.
Good evening. So I had the opportunity to go to the Southside Community Center and have a tour from the director, myself and 2 of your district psychologists, and it was great. The kiddos that were there were very engaged and happy, and I mean, I think it's going to be a great thing and a great asset for us to be able to provide to students, especially when it comes to the parents getting that support with the schoolwork and more hands-on things that they're able to do in the program. And I'm excited to see what it will turn into.
Thank you. Comments by the public. At this time, the board will extend invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on matters which are school-related. For those attending remotely who wish to comment, use your raise your hand button to be called on to speak. Is there anybody?
There is not.
The big one or the? Oh, it's on? Oh. Hey, how y'all doing? Okay, my name is Octavia, and I just had ran into a little problem concerning the school district transportation. My son, he attends BCCS in Chico, and he did get suspension off the transportation that they were sending to Oroville to pick him up. But I just was notified from the school, not transportation or the school district, that they're no longer going to provide that transportation for him, and that there would be, he could catch public transportation. And I'm like, would you send your 13-year-old on public transportation from one city to another? Like, it's just, I don't know. It just don't seem right for a 13-year-old have to catch public transportation to another city to go to school. So that's my problem, what I got going on.
Let you know that during public comment, the board is not allowed to ask
Okay, so I
questions or
just-
comment,
Okay,
but I will let you know that we will be in contact with you tomorrow to discuss this further. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you. We will now move on to action session. Public comments on action items. The board will extend invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on items that are listed on the agenda. For those attending remotely who wish to comment, use your raise your hand button to be called on to speak. The Brown Act does not allow the governing board to discuss or take action on any item that is not posted on the agenda. Is there any comments?
There's not.
Thank you. We will now move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as agendized.
Can I get a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstain? Pass with 4 yes votes. We're on to new business. Set date for annual organizational meeting.
It is recommended that the board set Wednesday, December the 11th, 2024 at 5:30 as the date and time for the annual organization board meeting. The annual organizational board meeting will be in conjunction with the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. On that date, we will reorganize the board presidency as well as read in or what's that called?
Swear in.
Swear in, thank you. Swear in our new board members, thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions?
I have a conflicting date. I don't know if that matters for the whole thing, but I will not be able to be present for that. That's my comment.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No,
Any noes?
no.
Any abstain? Okay, vote is 3-1. Passes with 3 yes. Approved memorandum of understanding, Mathematica.
Troy?
So this is
Shari's here to talk.
Oh,
about it.
sorry. Oh, sorry.
I want to,
I know, sorry. I was like Mathematica. I'm like,
It's a little deceiving. Says Mathematica, but it's actually a National School Food Study survey. I spoke about it a little bit at the last board meeting. It's basically a study that provides information about the school food environment, including nutritional quality, cost, and acceptability of school meals. It's going to take place over 24-25 school year and then partially into the 25-26 school year. It'll be data collection, and they will do on-site surveys to collect the data. And it's on behalf of the USDA. So we got volunteered for it for our school district. Any questions that I can answer for anybody?
Does the board have any questions?
So I did look into Mathematica as an organization. They subcontracted with 3 other organizations. One of them seemed fairly legitimate. One of them was from Abu Dhabi, and then one of them said it was permanently closed, and
They were contracted from the USDA.
Yeah.
So we didn't get a choice. They were starting the survey pre-COVID. Then COVID happened. They stopped all of the surveys. I'm not sure if our school district was a part of the survey pre-COVID when that happened, or if Mathematica was a part of that survey specifically.
part of the contract included the collection of personal data, including social security numbers, which I didn't find terribly heartening.
Yes.
Yeah, so God bless the USDA for providing such a wonderful opportunity for us. And I'm
Yes.
sure they're going to make sure that that's all very well taken care of.
They did say, they said that the study will, it'll not, respondents will not be identified. So they aren't going to collect the data that would specifically identify any students or teachers or any of the staff. And then the data will be aggregated, so it won't even identify our school district specifically. I plan to, as much as I can, as much as they'll allow me, be with the data collection during those times so that I can also see what data they're collecting for our own school district purposes.
I also noticed in the
service.
contract that it disclosed payments to coordinators and administration. And is that
Yes.
per student?
So it's per time of the interview that it takes. However, I'm not sure if the exact one, there was comments on the one that I have. They are leaving that open because their payments are pending further discussion as they are investigating offering district department payment stay and pay instead of individual pay. So
Okay.
instead of an incentive, they're negotiating, sending it to the district instead.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Does the board have any more questions? Can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we approve where are we? Memorandum of Understanding through Mathematica.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstain? Passed with 4 yes votes. Approve ASCA Coaching Services Agreement. Jessica North.
so members of the board, Jessica North is a new administrator for the district. And as a new administrator, as a new principal, they're required to do 2 years of coaching as part of their credentialing as a new admin, very similar to a new teacher that has 2 years of induction with an experienced teacher. This is 2 years of teaching by an experienced admin who comes and coaches and works with Jessica North, and it's a requirement for her credential.
Does the board have any questions? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Abstain? Passed with 4 yes votes. We will now go on to waive first reading and adopt revised board policy 6163.4.
so this policy has to do with our web filtering and monitoring of student computer activities. The last time we adopted this policy was in 2012, and so obviously things have changed a little bit since then. In order to receive federal E-rate funding, which is funding we receive every year that helps support our internet and internet infrastructure, we have to have an updated this policy. So they came out to us and said, hey, you got to get that fixed this year. So this is what we got, I think, off of Gamut. Is that right? Off of Gamut, who has the standard board policies. And this is just the updated version, saying that we can filter and, look at students' activity on the web, internet and things. So.
Right. Does the board have any questions? Can I get a motion?
I make a motion, we waive the first reading and adopt revised board policy 6163.4.
Second?
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstain? Passed with 4 yes votes. Review quarterly report of district compliance with Education Code, Section 35186D.
In this quarterly report, there were no Williams uniform complaints.
And no actions needed to take on this, so we can move forward.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and go to business and finance. Review OCSD's 2024-25 budget approval from BCOE.
So this is the letter approving our budget from BCOE, and they do approve it as we presented it. And this is just informational.
Okay. Next, we will go to accept bids for sport court projects, studios, and Ishii.
So to remind you, the sports court or sports pavilions or whatever they were going to end up naming them are a open air covered basketball structure. So effectively, it's like a gym without the walls. And it's going to have a basketball surface, and it's going to be the size of 2 basketball courts side by side, and then it'll have one big one, kind of like the size of a high school gym. We'll be putting one up at the studios, and we're putting one up at Ishii. We've been working on this using ELOP funding for 18, 20 months, something like that. And this is a DSA pre-approved structure. That's why we got through so fast, only 20 months. So here are the bids to put up these sport courts. And we're excited. We've seen some examples of these. There's one in Lemoore that we've seen as an example. It provides shade for the students. And when it's raining, they can go under there and do PE. So we think it'll be a good addition to both of our middle schools.
Okay, thank you. Does the board have any questions? Can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the bids for the sport courts projects of Studios and Ishii.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstain? Passed with 4 yes votes. Award contract to sport court projects, Studios, and Ishii.
So PMB Construction of Rockland, California was the low bidder on this project, and that is who we recommend the district award the contract to.
Okay. Any questions? Can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we award the contract for the sport court project to the PMB Construction Incorporated.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstain?
Can't wait
Pass.
I can't wait to see it go up.
Pass with 4 yes votes. Approve independent contractor agreement of Butte County Office of Education, Sean Glass.
Sean Glass is a communications tech independent contractor who has experience with the vendor we use to do a lot of our phone systems, our clock bell systems. So he is now independent of the company that we were using. So we elected to hire him to help us to get those all on, up to speed as we're looking at, what vendors do we use going forward for those services.
Okay. The board have any questions?
This is for like the bell and like the bell schedule?
No, like the clock bell system, like the intercom system or the telephone system. There's some specific pieces of network hardware that we've hired a company called Comtech to come and install. He used to work for Comtech,
Mhm.
and so now he's loose. So we grabbed him
Independent.
as an independent to come and help us with those systems so we can get some more support, so we can get those operating the way they're supposed to and get them fully installed.
We have issues with these from time to time,
Mhm.
and we're constantly need to get them serviced and things like that. So we have a constant need to have somebody that we can
Contractor.
kind of
Mhm.
contract out
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, and this is nothing that our tech people are specialized enough in to be able to do. So
Can I get a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the contract agreement with, what is his name? Sean Glass.
Sean Glass. Can I get a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstain? Pass with 4 yes votes. We're on to curriculum and instruction. Approved quote from Curriculum Associates LLC, iReady.
So as mentioned earlier, iReady is one of the tools we are using for our PLC intervention curriculum, as well as our K through 2, TK through 2, pardon me. Can't forget about our TK folks. Are utilizing iReady as well for progress monitoring because they're below the testing age for the state of California. So they're utilizing that, which allowed us to request about a 30% decrease of our bill for iReady. So we have a lower bid this year and we're spending less on it because we're utilizing it in a different way. So that's what we're presenting this evening.
Okay, does the board have any questions?
And the educators are on board with this? Because I know there was some problems last year.
Yes, they are on board as far as with the teacher tools. That's
Right.
the request that I had from our teachers to move forward with that for our intervention, as well as site admin.
Are we going to have metrics pertaining? Are we relying on the metrics again?
We are for TK through 2, they are utilizing the normal iReady where they actually have the lessons and moving on. The other grades will have access to that, but it's not required. The access that they need is for the toolbox, which is specifically the intervention materials.
Okay.
And those are being measured by our benchmarks, which happen 3 times a year between now and testing. And then there's 3 windows between the benchmark 1 to 2, benchmark 2 to 3, and then between benchmark 3 to the state testing. Those are our intervention windows, and the teacher toolbox allows our teachers to select which standards they're going to focus on that they need to help our students improve. And the teacher toolbox will design actual curriculum and problems that the teacher can utilize with the students. So it's basically a self-creating curriculum for the teachers in the area of intervention directly based on where the students scored on their testing.
I just remember last year there was some incongruity. I mean, I already had made some promises that stated that the curriculum metrics were going to be on par with the state metrics, and they weren't.
And those are no longer being relied upon. We are utilizing it specifically for a different aspect of what they offer.
And there was another piece of that I do remember talking about that. And there was one other piece that we were kind of missing when we were trying to compare the two. And that piece was the writing component. And the writing component on the state test has become, it's changed over time, but it's become more and more a piece of the state testing component, and that component is not part of iReady. And so that was one of the reasons why it wasn't apples to apples, because about 65-70% of the test, was, multiple choice and that type. But there's a lot more writing components, and iReady doesn't have that component. And so that was one of the big differences that after we started talking and unpacking it, we thought, oh, that's a big problem. And our schools this year, what we found out when we were kind of looking at our data, our state data, is we improved in a lot of areas, but one of the areas that we're really, really lacking is in the writing component. And so we're really focusing on that within the district. And what we found is many years ago, when everything was pen and paper and there was a writing prompt, teachers could walk around and see who's writing and who's not. And if they weren't, hey, you need to start working on it, or, this, that, or the other. On the state test, it's all on computer. And the state test does require you to write on there, but once you write on there, it allows you to move on and you can't go back. And we had kids that would, there'd be a really long reading prompt and they'd have to write about it. Well, we had a lot of kids that we discovered that were putting IDK and moving on. And they do it so quickly that we couldn't monitor that. And it doesn't allow us to go back and have them do that section again. And so we were getting very low scores in the writing prompts because kids either didn't feel like writing, or they didn't know, or whatever. And so we're really focusing on writing so that when we come to that part, they'll be much more confident and competent to do something. And hopefully something meaningful, because even some of our top students were just putting IDK because, for whatever reason. And we discovered that through a lot of our data conversations with principals over the summer when they were getting back the results, and they're like,
What happened?
what happened with this kid who's, a proficient kid, and on most of the tests it was proficient, and then when it got to the writing, they got a 0 because they didn't attempt it, or
Yeah.
So I know that was a long answer to a bigger
that's
question, but it was something really important to us last year, and we're really focusing on that piece this year.
Okay. Well, good luck with
So
that,
you-
you guys.
You had mentioned that we're using it in a different capacity from TK to grade 2. So are we really assessing TK in kindergarten on a Chromebook and iReady?
It's used, that is the data set that we are using for our non-testing grades. That is the data set that we use. Our teachers are using for their PLC planning and progress monitoring and how they're moving forward. We have to have a data set because we don't have a state testing model for TK through 2. iReady is what we've chosen to use for that, for the teachers with their growth.
What is the feedback from the teachers on that?
It's
So I'll go ahead and jump in right there. So iReady is one of the pieces that we use to work with kids. We have a TK teacher, and she's going, hey, let me talk. And so I would say that iReady, like Mr. Cox was adding, that's a piece of it, but we are still doing assessing kids, for example, in kindergarten on their letters, their sounds, their sight words, their shapes, their counting, things like that. And you certainly, Miss England did raise her hand, and if you'd like to get feedback from her, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, what is your opinion as?
I think developmentally, it's not appropriate for TK right now. It is a tool that people can have in their kit, but I don't think our focus is on iReady and TK. We're using learning other tools that we can have data sets on, as well as use our Illuminate testing system that we've been using for the last few years.
That don't require the use that don't require a 4-year-old to utilize a computer. Okay. I just am trying to equate this age group and this development appropriate. I mean, and then not only are they being tested, quote unquote, but they're also having to learn how to use a device to give it the appropriate responses. And it
Sure.
it's not.
Mhm.
So that's where that comment was coming from. So I just want to make sure that we're utilizing the appropriate testing tools for the appropriate age group. In that regard.
Well, and I'd also add that we are starting to phase out the iReady piece.
For TK
Well,
two.
But even through the district, we're moving more towards common assessments, the inspect, and things that are more aligned to what the test is going to look like versus iReady. Now, we don't want to go from 0 to, or 60 to nothing right away. We, like I said, we're kind of phasing it out, step by step. And even when Mr. Cox came here, he was like, he made the recommendation that maybe we do away with it, altogether. And I kind of said, well, let's kind of phase it out as we transition to more of the inspect and things of that nature. Which is inspect is our Common Core state standardized tests that we give to kids that are look much more like the state test, because it's not that we're teaching to the state test, but we're teaching the standards that are tested, and we want them to see the same format. And iReady is not in that same format, so we're starting to move away from that.
We had a good run and now we're done.
But we're still going to use it at this point. But like I said, that the reason why it's 30% cheaper is because we're starting to, you use less and less of the product as far as what they have to offer. Is that accurate, Mr. Cox?
Yes. And the other part of that as well is that when I came, as Dr. Holton said, I was not, I'm not a full iReady person, but it's an embedded part of this community, and it has been for years. And we even have report cards that have places to put their iReady scores on. So it's an embedded thing in our community. So it's something that can't be changed all at once. It's something that we're gradually going to do. And, but we are on the same page. You're welcome.
Any more questions? Can I get a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the quote for curriculum associates for the iReady.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstain? Pass with 4 yes votes. Approve revisions to English Learner EL Master Plan.
This is an update to our EL master plan that deals specifically with our reclassification, our RFEPs, which is our redesignated fluent English proficient long-term English learners and at risk. This came through our EL group, including our DLAC, had input from all, and needs to be updated and approved by the board to become official.
How often do you're referring to the two forms and how often are these filled out?
RFEPs are filled out once a year because they're based on once we receive the LPAC testing, which is what the CELT is now called. The CELT was the EL testing before. The LPAC testing is provided to us, and that's one of the criteria to be designated as redesignated fluent English
Okay.
proficient.
Okay.
So it happens once that data is there and we have the grades from the previous year, all of those different boxes we have to check, but that's once the LPAC data comes in.
A reclassification is at the end of the year?
Usually it's
Okay.
done towards the end of the year, and it's a celebration.
Oh,
we
yes.
have a formal ceremony. And then what happens normally, students are monitored for 2 years, just to ensure that, that they're still making progress and that we're not declining. So that's the overall part of the redesignation of the fluent English proficient EL student.
Thank you.
Does the board have any more questions? Can I get a motion to approve the revisions to the English Learner EL Master Plan?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstain? Pass with 4 yes votes, and we are going to adjourn the meeting at 6:22.